Hi everyone, Littlefoot here with Rhyme Signatures, the nerdiest music review this side of an all-day bender on Tree Stars. And today we're going to be doing a review of the new Charlie Griffiths album, Tiktaalika. I am of the opinion that the current sound of modern progressive metal owes a lot to the band Haken. Even though their early demo album Enter the Fifth Dimension never saw a full commercial release, their debut record, Aquarius, made such a profound impact on the genre that they have ended up becoming what is by and large considered to be the kind of de facto sound of modern progressive metal. Much in the same way that everyone and their mum wanted to be Dream Theater in the late 90s to early 2000s, nowadays people have moved on and everyone wants to be Haken. I followed the band very closely since their arrival in the early 2010s, and each new album cycle was something I genuinely looked forward to. I kept thinking, surely this is a fluke. Surely this band can't keep putting up albums of this kind of quality without something giving. But to this day, I don't personally believe the band has put a single foot wrong. I did start to think about, though, what the boys would be capable of if they were let off the leash of the band to create something independent, something more unique and individual. Fortunately, I haven't had to wait too long to find out what this sounds like. Last year, in 2021, we had vocalist Ross Jennings with his solo album A Shadow of My Former Self, with some pop rock sensibilities and some really catchy hooks. And prior to that, in 2019, guitarist Richard Henschel gave us a more experimental, kind of atmospheric prog rock album with The Cocoon. I felt both of these were fantastic albums that allowed the respective musicians ample opportunity to show the world there was more to them than just their mutual band. This brings us neatly, though, to Haken's other guitarist, Charlie Griffiths, and his new debut solo album, Tiktaalika. So named for a Tiktaalik, which Google tells me is a monospecific genus of extinct Sarcopterygian, apparently, from the late Devonian period, about 375 million years ago. A very, very old fossilised fish. And it ends with an A, like metallic A. Tiktaalik A. Yeah, heavy metal. So yeah, this is a very metal album. If this album was a metal, it would be tungsten, or steel, or iron, or titanium. These are all very metally metals, and frankly so is Tiktaalika. To describe this album as anything else would be kind of wrong and bad of me. Charlie wastes absolutely no time at all on this record, blasting into the stratosphere with some of the most metally metal that ever did metal right from the get-go. Like any good solo offering, Charlie's brought some friends with him to round out the various duties required to make this a more fuller sounding record. There's some excellent guest stars on offer here, including my most beloved Tommy Rogers from Between the Buried and Me, giving his delightfully distinctive guttural yelling from the first main track. Amongst the others joining the crew are Jordan Rudess, yes, that Jordan Rudess, Daniel de Jong, Vladimir Lalick and Neil Purdy, amongst others. This is a Charlie Griffiths record in name, but it feels like a gathering of power in a similar manner to an Arjen Lucassen project. There's a lot to love from the contributions offered here vocally and musically, and they definitely help to project a big sound for Tiktaalika. The album really is very, very well put together, taking a page out of the Ocean's style of theming records about prehistoric parts of the Earth's timeline, albeit somewhat less po-faced. The album flows magnificently and maintains a great consistency with its tone, adherence to lyrical themes and motifs, and has some really excellent through lines from start to finish. There's a lot of personal favourites on offer here. Of particular note for me is the weighty In Alluvium and follow-up Dead in the Water, showcasing multiple vocalists, catchy choruses, strong memorable guitar lines, and the first of several recurring lyrical themes throughout the album. You'll catch it after a couple of listens, but I find it adds a real sense of continuity and identity to the record. That's honestly what I like the most out of Tiktaalika above everything else. It exudes a really strong personality. You can recognise Charlie's playing style from his time in Haken, sure, but operating as a solo musician or songwriter has given him a really good chance to flex his own personal brand onto the record. It feels familiar to Haken, but also manages to tread territory that has so far been lacking from the band. There's some really good King Crimson sort of larks, tongues in aspic worship going on in multiple parts of the album, feeling chunky and impactful, but never outstaying its welcome. It's a nice throwback to what are clearly some of Charlie's own influences when writing this record, but he manages to make it sound distinctly his own at the same time. It's a great balance between respecting what came before, while simultaneously carving its own path in the future. I think that's why I like this album so much. It's nostalgic, but it's forward-thinking. It's a great showcase for how talented a songwriter Charlie is. And when compared to both Richard and Ross's recent solo albums, it demonstrates just how much raw talent and creativity there is in Haken. And it kind of explains in large just how they've been able to be at the forefront of modern progressive metal for the last 12 years now. All I can hope for at this stage is that the upcoming record with the band back together doesn't suffer for all the good ideas having been used up already. But I remind myself, however, that I've doubted these guys before and they've yet to disappoint me. Ranking the Haken boys' solo projects is a hard one, but if I absolutely had to pick, I probably would choose Tiktaalika as my favourite. It feels a more consistent record than Richard's, with a more prominent central theme and feel, and it's definitely less bloated than Ross's, with less fat and far more meat. I mean, not to poo-poo the other guys, their solo albums are stunning, but something about this just hits a little differently. So, what else can I say about Tiktaalika? It's an engaging record with very little to really complain about. It's well produced, it's well written, doesn't outstay its welcome, and it features what is, for me, the best album art of the year so far. I mean, damn. Should you check this out if you don't like Haken, though? Well, given that the principal barrier to entry for the band tends to be Ross, I love him, mind you, and he doesn't feature at all on here, I would say give it a go. Absolutely give it a go. If, like me though, you already love Haken, chances are you've already listened to this one. But if for whatever reason you've been on the fence about this, definitely give it a go. For me, it's a blast from start to finish. This is all, of course, my opinion, as you know, so tell me what you thought of this record in the comments down below. If you have listened to anything this year that you think I should check out, then let me know about it. I might get around to giving it my own thoughts. If you like this video, please do thumb it, share it with anyone who you think might enjoy it, and please do consider subscribing for more content. Until next time, guys, keep your rhyme signatures odd,